오케이. 오케이, 알겠습니다. They know that he's going to be in the lead, so they put his name up already.
제 말씀 들려요? 제 말씀은 들려요?
네, 저는 들립니다. 예, 지금
네, 여기 이영재 PD님 지금 들리냐고 물어보는데요. 그거 턱백에서 그거 혹시 안 들리나요?
잘 들려요? 제 거 잘 들려요?
This is the 2011 Korea Cup International Yacht Race. Hello and welcome. My name is Jason Lee, and I'm joined by Mr. Shim Young-shik. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone.
All right, we have the fourth edition of the Korea Cup. Let's talk a little bit about this race. What exactly is it?
This is one of the major offshore races in Asia. It's 545 kilometers long. It goes from Pohang to Ulung Island. From Ulung Island, it goes to Dokdo. That's a parade to Dokdo, I should say. And then from Dokdo back to Pohang. That's 250 kilometers long. While they're at Ulung Island, they also have an inshore race in front of Sadong Harbor. But today, we're here for the inshore race, which precedes the offshore race.
Okay, so definitely a variety of races that we're going to have with this international race taking part. And as we say international, it certainly is an international race because it's not just Korea taking part in this. There's several nations.
Yes, we have several countries, actually about 10 countries. A lot of sailors from Russia, some from the U.S. They're all ranked sailors from the U.S. Some sailors from Philippines, and we have other countries represented. Altogether, about 10 countries. 300 sailors, 60 boats. Big race.
Wow, certainly going to be a very exciting day. When we take a look at the course for today's race, I understand that it's a little bit different from last year. How is the course going to play out?
The course is an M-shaped course this year. This is made for broadcast and also for the terrain or the shape of the harbor. And it has a long first leg. And if you do really well on the first leg, you have a good chance of winning this race. And for those narrow hulls and light boats, under the wind conditions today, they would be favored.
Okay, well, it certainly will be a windy day to my understanding, so we're going to get to the race in a moment, so let's go and join the live broadcast. All right, we're taking a look at Yeongil Bay, which is in Pohang. Pohang is on the east coast of Korea, towards the southern side, not quite at the southern tip, but towards the southern side. This is Bukbu Beach, as we take a look at all the boats and people participating in the yacht race. So as we see the entries, distance of the course should be about 5 to 6 miles, and the estimated time of the race, we can say probably somewhere between about 50 to 60 minutes. As we take a look, here is the competitors, 59 yachts from 9 nations, 226 competitors, and of course this is over a couple of days. It's not just today, but today's race is the inshore race that we see here as we take a look at Yeongil Bay. Very beautiful harbor here that we can see.
That's a real nice harbor to do yacht racing. Wind is fairly steady. There are not the short choppy waves that can really slow down boats. As long as, there's the delay flag that has gone up. As soon as that comes down, then we get into the 5-minute start sequence. They're about ready to lower that, I think, and so we're about 5 or 6 minutes away from the start.
Okay, and as we see the flag, we're going to take a look at some of the participants of today's race. There's the horn.
Okay, I heard the horn.
And There's one more shot of the bay. Let's take a look at the competitors taking part. Some of these Korean boats: Sexy Busan, Sunny Venus, U2, Team Hemaru, and Y Cox. You can see a lot of these with a lot of crew members, 8, 9 plus. We also have the Tiburon from Russia, the Carrera, the Time Machine, Fortune, Ominoko, First, and Gust. These are all Russian boats that have found their way over here to Korea.
Okay, we're about to have the start signal here.
As we see some of the boats, let's take a look also at the Diva, the Drake 40-1, Edelweiss, Kona Wind, Iruri. We have the Sea Wife, Peace, and Dufour.
Okay, here goes the 5-minute signal.
So the race will begin in approximately 5 minutes' time. As mentioned, the race should take approximately 50 minutes to complete based on the course that has been outlined and the wind that has been brought in today. Looks like a bit of overcast skies as for the conditions, but looks dry out there in terms of rain of any sort, no precipitation as we take a look.
And if you take a look at the flags that are hanging off the wires off the boats, you'll see that they're not flapping too much, so there's not much wind there right now. In a situation like this, again, it would be those light hull and narrow hull boats with huge carbon sails that will have an advantage.
Obviously, in yachting or sailing, weather conditions absolutely important. They can dictate so much of who will win or lose a race. There's the 4-minute marker, so as the countdown begins. And weather conditions today, is it strictly the wind that matters, or are there other factors? Does it matter if it's overcast, if there's high or low precipitation, or moisture levels?
Well, the thing that matters the most is the wind, of course, and after that, perhaps the tide. As far as I know, there's not much of a tide in the harbor. That's one of the reasons why it's a good place to race. But those local sailors, if there are any in Pohang who have sailed this course before, they might know how the wind shifts in the harbor. And for those people who can know the minute differences in the tidal movements and the wind shifts and that sort of thing, would have an advantage over the other competitors.
Well, it looks like I spoke a little bit too soon when mentioning that it doesn't appear that there's any precipitation, because it's looking now like there's an awful lot of precipitation. Rain coming down, appearing to be quite heavy here at Yeongyeo Bay in Pohang, and it's going to put a little bit of a dampener for the sailors, but of course they're going to be wet anyways. we're watching here from the monitors and TVs from home, so we can stay dry as we watch the sailors compete throughout these conditions.
Yeah, they'll be soaking wet for the next 4 or 5 days as they go to Dokdo and come back to Pohang. They'll be out in huge swells and big waves, and it's going to be a miserable time for them, but they do it for the adventure, of course. And there's big prize monies at stake as well.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the prize money. Generally speaking, when we're having a yacht competition like this, what sorts of prizes are there? And are there even entry fees or things like that to consider as well? Or who's allowed to race in this, and what do you gain from it?
Most most races, I should say, have an entrance fee. This one does too. It's a small nominal sum. But unusual to the yacht racing scene, Korea has a lot of prize monies. When we race overseas, I've never seen an amateur race where they offer prize monies. Mm-hmm. Even a lot of the pro races do not have prize monies. You go for the trophy. But in Korea, we do have some sizable prize monies. For instance, like today, the first place will win 1 million won. And for the first leg of the offshore race from Pohang to Ulleungdo is 4 million won for first place, 2 million for second, and 2 million for third. No, I'm sorry, 2.5 million for second, 2 million for third, 1 million for fourth, and 500,000 won for fifth. So, and then the race back from Dokdo to Pohang, once again, you have the 4 million, 2.5 million, 2 million, 1 million, 500,000 won. A lot of money.
So definitely some money available. We are now at the 1 minute mark. So in 1 minute, we will begin the race as the boats are approaching the start line. And as they do, we're going to have quite an exciting start here. Generally speaking, in yachting, now I understand that the start isn't always the way that we're going to see it today. There's different starts as opposed to what we're going to see.
Yes, this is a fleet race start where all of the boats start together on the line. And the idea is to get to the start line at about time 0. But you want to be at full speed when you cross the start line. Look at the bowman. I just saw the bowman on that boat looking at his watch. We got about 10 seconds to go.
And as we are set to go just about, let's see what's going to
shoot
happen.
Off the cannon. Look at the cannon. Okay, we have a start.
And they're off. The start flag is up, and the race is now officially underway. The 2011 Korea Cup International Yacht Race. Everything comes down to this moment for the next 50 or so minutes. These boatmen are going to be running a course. As mentioned, it's going to be in an M sort of shape. As we take a look at the weather conditions here, 24 degrees Celsius, a little bit of rain coming down, 64% humidity with wind speeds at 3 meters a second, and they're coming from the easterly direction. We're just off of Bukbu Beach. As we take a look at the Venus here, that's a Korean boat. And you see probably about 8 members per boat on average in today's 8 to 9 members, it appears.
They're headed to the first mark, which is the longest distance away, which is the longest leg. The race can be won or lost on this leg, I believe. The wind is fairly light right now, and you would really need some sailing skills today to keep the boat pointed toward the mark, but at the same time maintaining your speed. The more you point, the less speed you have. So you need to continually go on a sort of a sinuous path where you fall off the wind a little bit to gain speed, and if you head away from the mark too much, then you go back up to the mark a little bit, go back and forth, back and forth. That's called feathering in yachting.
We're going to take a look at the actual course once again, just to give you an idea of exactly what these boats are going to be dealing with. So as you can see, they're going from left to right, or you can say from west to east, and then they're going to be doing this M sort of shape before returning to the finish line once again. Now that first leg from west to east, the wind is actually coming from the opposite direction. So as the wind is coming from the east towards the west, obviously this first leg will probably be the slowest leg that these boats will go through.
It would be, and depending on the wind direction, they would have to tack. That's changing direction by about between 70 to 90 degrees, depending on what kind of boat you're on. So there's a lot of strategy in play on the first leg.
With that first leg, now you mentioned tacking, which is, like you mentioned before, when you're sort of doing a zigzag towards the direction against the wind. How many times would you say would be a normal tack, or what distance would you go before turning to be with the wind?
Before I answer that question, we're looking at Valentino. That's a boat filled with some disabled sailors. They are here training for the Olympics. They're going to the London Olympics, and they'll be actually competing in London in just a bit, I think, end of June. And they'll be there for the Weymouth yachting venue during the Olympics. And they'll have a sort of a practice run at Weymouth at the end of June. But getting back to your question again.
Yeah, I was asking about tacking. How many times would you generally turn left or right, or how have you, and how far would you go before turning?
That depends on the angle of the wind. If you have favorable winds and you're going at a pretty good angle, you might want to maintain that. But as soon as the wind shifts a little bit and you are now pointing away from the mark more and more, that means it's time to tack. So you would tack. For a distance of the leg that we have here today, I don't know how many times you would tack. It just depends on the wind again and the angle that you're sailing at. But ordinarily, for a distance of this kind, I would say maybe once or twice. You don't want to tack too many times because every time you tack, the boat slows down.
Well, you can see the boats attacking here as crew members shifting from one side to the other. Speaking of which, how many crew members is optimal, generally speaking? I mean, it seems like most boats here today seem to have about 8 to 9 crew member. What is the advantage of having more or less crew member, and what do they generally do on the boat? I think you only have one person steering the wheel.
There are a lot of assigned positions on a boat. You have the bowman, you have the mastman, you have the trimmer who trims the sails, you have the skipper, of course, who directs everything. He's the boss. He tells everyone what to do. And then on a windward course, as the boat heels over a little bit, you want to have some crew weight. We call that rail meat. Crew weight sitting on the upper side or the higher side of the boat, like this one here. I believe this is Time Machine, right? Oh no, excuse me. I think this is Sexy Busan. This is the lead boat, right?
Yes, that is.
That's Sexy Busan. Yes, that's a big boat. It's a 46-foot boat, IMS 46, and we have some good sailors on this boat. I believe Kim Jang-chul is the coach.